All right, we're going to look at your work first. Gisela. Gisela? Gisela.
Yeah, Gisela.
All right. Uh, who did you do for your hero?
I did my husband.
All right. So did you post into the discussion like where you had posted before?
Yes, I posted it underneath my original one. I took
Okay.
in feedback that you gave yesterday.
All right. That's not, is this you? No. Yell when you see it, sorry. Does this look at your group here? There you are.
Yep, there I
That's
am.
it. All
That's my
right.
old one, and then underneath it is my new one.
Cool. I love it. All right. So when you didn't have to deal with all this stuff on the jacket, it's easier.
Yes, it definitely made it a lot easier.
I would think you could almost like integrate this. Where did this come from? Did you create this?
I created it on my iPad and then transferred it over to my MacBook.
It's awesome. I would just sort of put it up so it's like overlapping him,
Okay.
and just let it knock out the white. The black will blend into the background, but I think it'll look okay.
Okay.
Um, and then these things, I almost wish they were coming up as well. Like it's just like integrate it more, just sort of push everything up a little bit. See,
Okay, I can
you can
do
do
that.
that and it'll work. But this is really good. So some of the details in the face, like if it were me, oops, uh, I would I would maybe like smooth out some of the simplify some of these shapes a little bit, uh,
Okay.
and just it's just a little touch up.
Okay.
If you're nervous about it, you can always like duplicate your artwork and mess with it. And if you mess something up, you always have your standby. But you're in
Okay.
good shape at this moment. So,
Alrighty. Thank you.
all right. Well, you're welcome to stick around. Sounds like you're busy though. But
Yes, I have three babies, so I was
oh
like,
my
I'm gonna
gosh.
tune in for my critique, but I don't want to miss it either.
All right. I'm going to go through everybody else's work. So I'll probably see you later.
Alrighty. Thank you so much.
All right. No problem. All right. Back up to the top of this section, Aaron. Looking at your work. So this is a decent start to a portrait. I would maybe make his eye, the whites of his eyes white. I think that would help. I think you could integrate this image a little more into it, maybe proportionally, sort of bringing it in. I'm not really sure what these shapes, they're like claw marks or something. They don't really look like claw marks. Uh, just feels like the composition could be integrated a little better. You've got one white highlight on the cheek and nowhere else. So there might be some white on the nose, on the ear, maybe on the chin a little bit. I don't know. I'd have to look at your photo reference, but there might be, a little highlight on the lower lip. So just sort of finessing and adding a little more detail. This is not great how it sort of finishes here. I would like maybe make it more natural finish to the bottom. Uh, and like I said, maybe if you can integrate that, I would think maybe a much bigger and like behind his head a little bit, and see how that works for you. All right, Timothy, Matthew McConaughey. This looks like you took a photo and auto traced it, and it's kind of a mess. So from a concept standpoint, it's not a great composition. You're cropping on three sides. And all the stuff with the coat really doesn't add to the design. Uh, you've got the words sort of floating there. I don't know why these two are closer and this one's further away, uh, but maybe integrate it more with his head. But all these shapes that you've got, it's just creating a lot of noise. I want you to be able to create a very intentional looking piece of artwork. So his eye, the whites of his eyes should probably be white. maybe more definition on the nose, simplify some of these shapes, but focus on the head and neck and ditch the rest of this because it's just extra noise that you don't need. I think you could get there based on changing some of this stuff. But right now it feels very sort of like unintentional, like just sort of popped it in. Here it is. So think about how you work that over. All right. So Lene, this is this has too many grays. This is a very overly simplified illustration. There isn't enough detail. There's no shape and dimension. You're doing a full body figure, which so this is your dad. I would, maybe you could focus more on the head. If the arm gesture is kind of a key thing, then that's there. But you need to consolidate the number of grays because you've got this gray here, this gray, and this gray. That's 3 at least. You seem to be struggling with Illustrator a bit, and there's not enough detail. So what you should be looking at in your photo reference is light and shadow. Where does the highlight come in? Where are the shadows falling? If you do the drawing based on light and shadow, it'll look a lot better and you'll be happier. As far as the overall composition goes, you know, having it go 3/4 of the way down without the feet, I don't know, and it doesn't, like a full figure does not make a great hero portrait. So if you want the arm gesture, maybe from the chest up, and what else are you going to add to that to make it a unique concept? But you got to get the right number of grays to move forward. All right, Jennifer, you are doing, is this yours? No. Hillary Clinton. Oh, you gave me an AI file. So don't give me native files in this class. You're usually giving me a PDF, or you can do a JPEG for this particular assignment. So there we go. Stop that one. Still downloading. So I'm going to open this up and take a look. But like I said, you can just, especially for the discussion, you should be able to just add an image to the discussion if you make a JPEG of it. We'll open Illustrator. We can do a little demo as well. All right, so this looks like Hillary. This is an incredibly oversimplified version of her face. I want to see using grayscale to create shape and dimension. So right now this is sort of blocked out with black. You've got 2 grays in the background. It looks like there's a little bit of gray around the outside of these shapes, like there's a stroke with a gray in it. Probably don't need a stroke on any of these shapes. Take your grays, start to shade in the face, the eyes, the lips, make shadows for the nose, give the face some dimension, shape and dimension. Right now, this is just really essentially a black and white illustration with no grays, with the exception of the flag in the background. The flag is also done in a totally different style than the foreground. So I think you got more work to do. So keep looking at, if you have a photo reference, if that's what you're working from, look at where the light is hitting the face, where the shadows are cast, how that works. And I feel the same way about her. All right, so Johnny, you're doing this actor, Mahershala Ali. I butchered that, sorry. So this is like you've taken a famous photo and transferred it into Illustrator. That is not the purpose of the assignment. I want you to create some very intentional artwork. Either you're adding elements to the background or creating some sort of containing shape or doing it in a style that's unique. A lot of these shapes in here are overly complex. You can simplify them a little bit, create much more intentional artwork, and have a concept, have a composition that is freestanding that will work on a t-shirt. So you got more work to do there. All right, Chantal, this is excellent, great looking work. Here's what I would say to you. The figure is the main focus. Make him as big as the circle. The knives can just be in the background and whatever parts of them kind of shine through. But this is really nice work. Now, it looks like you've got the right number of grays. You should check that. It looks right. But really good, intentional work, clean, good. Yeah, I would just make them bigger in the frame. All right. Michael, you're doing, I'm sorry. This is Amy Lee, right? Yeah, Amy Lee. Excellent, good work. Your grays look correct. It's got a concept to it. It's got a cohesive style. Everything's working really well here. So good job. I don't have much to say. You know, some of this line work, it could be, maybe there could be some shadow under her chin a little bit instead of just a thin line, but I'm nitpicking. Overall, it's really good. All right, that's all for this section. All right, if you're in this class, Savannah, so you're doing your fiance. You decided, this is sort of like your thumbnails, I guess. So he's standing guard. I get the idea. You're going to have to do some work to add some detail and draw this out in Illustrator. You're a little behind schedule at this moment. Hopefully you're fairly skilled with Illustrator. You'll be able to do this quickly. I love your concept. Think about the composition. How does it end? Is it in a containing shape? You know, what ends it at the bottom? So, and it's going on a t-shirt. So just think about that, how that works out. All right, Giovanna, your husband. So you've got a start. I think you need to add some more elements to the background or a containing shape. I see you got scissors. So he's a barber. You got to figure out how to sort of integrate these things together. And you probably have some sort of background color maybe to separate. The light is clearly hitting his face from the front left. So you want to create some sort of containing shape so that you have a separation there, and then just clean it up a little bit. And you got to figure out what to do. You usually do this. What if you rotated these scissors around in a ring, like a sort of a pattern or something? Make them a little smaller. You could do that. That might work. And then maybe there's some sort of shape for him. So just, it needs more work, a little more detail filling in and all that. All right, Christina, this is another Christina. So this is, I'm really having a hard time understanding this. So this is a full figure bending back, but without the feet. microphone in hand, hair falling down. You've given yourself a huge challenge in this figure to make it work. I mean, if you're going to do this, you have to have the feet because it's just odd that it's like cut off like that. You've got too many grays, this gray, and then this dark, dark gray. This dark, dark gray should be black probably. So, and then more detail and separation of the arm from the torso, the neck, and the chin. I mean, they're just, it's really confusing image right now. So you'd have to add more detail. You're giving yourself a big challenge, so I hope you're able to accomplish that. All right, Samuel, this is your son. So I did a little demo of stars last time where you can do sort of different kinds of stars because he's your all-star. So let's just look at the face though first. So you've got this light gray, this dark gray, black and white. So again, look at light and shadow. The nose is not defined by a couple of lines on either side. It's defined by where the light's hitting and where the shadow's casting. Typically, if the light's from above, there's a shadow under the nostrils. There's usually a shadow on one side of the nose and not the other. It's really, this looks very flat and all the shadows kind of feel like makeup or something because there's no rhyme or reason to like where shadows are falling versus highlights. You've got an extra gray swatch in here. You need to get rid of that. And then just sort of clean up some of the artwork a little bit. Ditch the Nike logo. You don't need that in your artwork. The stars. So you just did this typical sort of 5-point star. I'll just show you what I'm talking about. So if I go to the shape tool and I go to star and I click, I click and drag, I get a star. This is just the laziest star you can do. It's just click and drag. Now, if I click once, I get the options. Now, instead of a 5-point star, I could do a 12-point star. What does that look like? Different. All right, do it again. The radius, this is the outside points. This is the inside points. What if I want a bigger difference between those two? Say, okay, oh, that's a different star. All right, if I hold down the option key and drag, hold on, let me go back to my 5-point star. And you hold down the option key, you get a Texas star. Do you see how that's different? It's also 5 points, but it's like different than this star. So be a little more creative with the stars if you're going to use them, because that's part of your concept. And think about light and shadow, and think about fills. Are there a fill behind the big star, or there fills in the little stars? Because when you start colorizing it, you want to use more color, unless you don't want to really have line art. You want to have filled shapes. That's better. All right, let me go out. All right. Bush Kim, you're doing Brian Eno. This is an old picture of him. And you got a keyboard, sort of. Is that what that is? This is cool. It works. More detail, more cleanup, a little bit. Define the other nostril, the nose, the upper lip, maybe finish it off, give it a little shadow. At a certain point, you sort of put your photo reference aside and just do what you can to make it look right. Clean up some of these shapes. They don't need as much detail. And then the hair, you know, some of these shapes just look like big blobs. Just a little more attention to detail and you'll be in really good shape. Rashad, you're doing your wife. So this is a wonderful image with a terrific smile. You've got this dark gray, this light gray, there's something going on there. That sort of works. Again, this is one of those things where you clean up the shapes a little bit to make them smoother and work. The eyes are done really well. That's really nice. But then some of these shapes just feel like blobs, like makeup or something. You have to sort of like finesse it a little bit. You're still working on it. I see that. Now, composition wise, you don't want to have something cropped like this. You want to think about the whole image. So the hair elements, yeah. So I think you're on it, but you just try to create a really kind of interesting freestanding composition out of this. All right, Kiana. So you're doing, so this is pretty good. You've got this dark gray, this light gray. There's light hitting the face, sort of front and right. So the nose is catching it. Maybe there's a little more shadow on the left side of the nose. The upper lip might catch more light, maybe. Now the hat, hold on. So this is your grandfather, Vietnam veteran, retired police officer. So I'm assuming the hat is a police hat. It probably had some sort of emblem here. Right now, it's functioning like a big black void. So I don't know if you can take your dark gray and maybe add some shape to this to break it up a little bit. So it's just not like a huge, because it sort of draws too much attention to itself right now. And without the, you know, insignia or whatever was in the front, it looks kind of empty. So consider how you would handle that, but I just say deal with that. Other than that, you're in good shape. It looks okay. And maybe the jacket, you could do, take some black and create a little bit of lapel edge or something. A little more detail, and it'll be good. All right, Brianna, you're doing your younger sister. Again, this is good concept. You got interesting shapes going on, but it needs cleanup. You know, a lot of these little details in here don't make sense. Just go through and sort of smooth out some of these really rough edges and clean it up a little bit, and it'll be good. It's got the right number of grays, and you've captured some of the light. There's probably some light on her forehead too. But again, these shapes, instead of being so detailed, sort of clean them up a little bit. All right, and that's all for this group. All right, so here, Calvin, so this looks like sort of taking a photo into Illustrator, making it black and white. You want to add your grays as sort of another level of shading to create more shape and dimension in the face. So it's not just like straight black and white. These areas in the hair look really odd because they're lighter and they're just big, massive shapes. So you could break those up with some detail a little more. Typically what you do is create a big shape for the hair and then add detail on top of that. The musical notes they're all the exact same musical note in different shades, slightly distorted. They don't really fit visually connecting with the illustration style. So I think there's a little more work to do there. But at least you've got sort of a freestanding concept there. Deborah, awesome work, looking great. The only thing I would say is maybe this ribbon could come up over in front of the shield a little bit. And I think that would tie it together a little bit. So think about that. All right. Deanna, you're doing Salvador Dali. This is kind of a famous image of him and the melting clock. So I'm really looking for you to create your own original sort of t-shirt design for this. Right now, this is more like a poster and it's cropped on 3 sides. So consider how you would change this up to really make it unique and make it your own. The use of grayscale is pretty good. You know, some of this stuff could use a little cleanup, but overall it's working. So, but right now it feels like the famous image just sort of translated into Illustrator. All right, Sable, I don't know what to say. You are amazing. Your work is terrific. You know how to draw and you know how to use Illustrator. This looks incredible. What a great example of what could be done with just black, white, and 2 grays. So keep going, get into your color relationships. Hopefully this all works out. I really like your work, really nice. All right, that's what we've got for today. Looking forward to seeing everybody's final work by Sunday. Just remember, Sunday, you have to have, first of all, you're going to make a video presentation, and you can use QuickTime if you want, or Slack, or a Spark. You're going to make a video presentation. You're going to post that both to the assignment and to the discussion. So, and you're going to post a PDF of your final entire presentation into the final assignment. So I want to see all your work by Sunday. I'm going to post a video about how to do color separations. It's a lot more detailed than what we have, and kind of an update. So look for that coming out in an announcement shortly. All right, guys, can't wait to see your work.